Hello, my name's Lori Thaxton, and I am going to share a project that I've had to do for my lifespan human development class. I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, here we go. So, like I said, this is a project that I had to do for my lifespan human development class. This was a two-part project. The first part was, let me move this over. Uh, it was the other development project. We had to look at developmental stages, and we could choose which developmental stage that we wanted in order to do the project. I personally chose infancy to early childhood. Infancy to early childhood is birth to age 6. And this was very interesting to me because the person that I chose to work with for this part of the project was my nephew. And as soon as we started talking about what was required for the project, I knew exactly who I wanted to do and why. Okay, so move that again. My target subject was my nephew, Easton. This is not a picture of him. Easton is a happy, curious 3-year-old with a lot of energy. His mother is my niece, and she experienced a normal, healthy pregnancy. She delivered him as a full-term baby, and he is an only child, and he is receives nothing but love from all family members. The questionable behaviors that are what I was looking at and why I wanted to choose Easton is because he had abnormal separation anxiety, and he developed a habit about a year ago to where, really not even a year, about 6 months ago, where it started with him chewing on his shirt, constantly having to have his hand in his mouth. And that led to more severe chewing. And then his appetite declined. This babies chew, toddlers chew. This was not the same, and this was not due to teething. And I know toddlers can have and babies can have they can be picky about what they like to eat. Adults are like that. But this was different. This was different. So, my sister, which is his primary caregiver during the week, she's a nurse, and she keeps her grandson during the week to help his parents out, and she works her nursing job on the weekend. But she convinced my niece to make Easton a doctor's appointment. They drew blood work and to check to see if there were any, abnormalities, irregularities. And it was found that Easton had low iron anemia. I personally made a connection. I brought it up to my sister. I said, "Do you think that Easton's constant need to chew is tied to his low iron?" It was definitely causing his lack of appetite. When I say his need to chew, it went from chewing on his shirt and having to have his hand in his mouth to he would get a washcloth or a hand towel, and he would literally drench these with saliva as he was chewing on them. He drinks a lot of milk, and the doctor said that he was going to have to decrease the amount of milk that he was intaking because that could deplete his iron levels, and which depleted iron levels affects your appetite. So the treatment prescribed for Easton was for him to take a children's vitamin that contained iron, reduce the amount of milk he drinks throughout the day. The doctor will continue quarterly to monitor his iron levels to check for improvement. For the separation anxiety, his parents began leaving him with family members. He was not normally around. I personally I'm around him all the time, and he acted like nervous and anxious to be around me and very shy. I would try to get him to play with me. My sister and I, we're always going somewhere in the car. So when he was with her and I was with both of them in the car, I would always make a point to carry on a conversation with him as much as you can a 3-year-old, but I would try to engage him. And I was constantly keeping him involved in the conversation. I FaceTime my sister pretty regularly, and I would make sure that I would do that when he was there, and I would always try to talk to him and make eye contact with him so he could make a connection. Hey, this is my Cece. That's what my nieces and my nephew call me. And, you know, that's what we did. That's what we did for my part of the intervention for his separation anxiety. The two theories that I connected with this was Bowlby's attachment theory. And that's basically talking about the emotional bond that children develop with their caregivers. And when they're separated from their caregivers, they can feel distress and anxiety. And then Erickson's social stage of trust versus mistrust. He trusted the people that my sister, his grandmother, and he trusted his parents and his other set of grandparents, actually, but people that he wasn't around, he didn't trust them. So Easton, I will tell you, over time, the chewing got better. The next, which we'll come back to that in just a minute. But the other part of our project for this was a self-development project. And this was something that we had to pick in our own lives to work on. And this is my journey. So this, I am 55. I have been married for almost 28 years. I have two boys, 25 and 30. Actually, my 25-year-old just had a birthday. He's 26. My 30-year-old, his birthday's coming up. I have two beautiful grandchildren. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter and a 7-month-old grandson. And I have been a school teacher for, at the end of this school year, will be 23 years. And I find myself in the middle adulthood stage. And I can see the signs of this all over my face, and I feel it in my body. So I experience daily challenges just like everyone else does, balancing work, family, and keeping on personally developing myself. That's important for your overall well-being. My struggle was menopausal weight gain, and I used to be in really good shape. I got out of shape, and that contributed to my weight gain as well. Did not help with menopause. Menopause is not my friend. And over the past several years, I have eaten a poor diet. I've had low energy levels, and I have not exercised like I should. So, how to combat this? What did I need to do to work on myself to feel better, improve my overall well-being? I leaned on my teacher education, and I implemented SMART goals. So my SMART goals, they have to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. I defined my goal as I wanted to lose 20 pounds and that I would at least try to exercise 3 to 4 times a week, and I would implement a healthier diet. How was I going to do that? Well, I began to follow the Weight Watchers point system, and I joined my local Planet Fitness. So when I joined Planet Fitness, I decided, okay, I'm not in good shape anymore. I can't jump in there and do the same things that I used to. I started by walking on the treadmill for 20 minutes. And then I would go to what it was like the 30-minute quick workout area in Planet Fitness. And it's like a total body workout. It was less intimidating to me. And then I gradually, I did it gradually because I wanted to avoid burnout, because you can get burned out on diets, on exercise very quickly. And I needed to keep motivated. Um, as I felt better and like maybe my workout wasn't fulfilling, I increased the number of days I was going, and I started going 5 to 6 times a week. And then I moved out of the quick workout area into the main gym area. I felt more confident. As far as Weight Watchers, I actually stopped. I stopped eating junky snacks and junk food, and I was very mindful of what I ate. And I started incorporating more whole foods, good, healthy vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. I had to cut back on my sugar. And I tracked my progress. What I felt really helped with my food journey, I kept a food log, and I would write down, and it makes you feel accountable to yourself when you write down what you eat in a day. Then when you say, oh, when you reflect back on it, you're like, wow, I did terrible today. So the next day you adjust, you eat better. And I just felt that made it easier, made it me have accountability. So these are the two areas, two theories that I associated with my journey. Was I'm just going to be honest, cannot pronounce his name, but his cognitive development theory, it suggested that my brain capacity to think abstractly and solve problems is connected to my overall well-being. If I'm not healthy, my mind's not healthy. And if my mind's not healthy, my overall emotional well-being is affected. And I also reflected on Erickson's concept of generativity. I wanted to create a legacy, not just in my career, but in relationships and social connections. And um, and I'll go back to that in just a minute. So, on going back and reflecting on my nephew, I have a renewed understanding. And now that I have grandkids, I look at things and I try to figure out like what developmental stage that they're in, and what I can do, sorry, to help them, and make connections. My nephew, he is better. Like his diet, it has improved. He does not chew on anything. He doesn't walk around with a washcloth or a hand towel. He doesn't chew on his hands. And he hates his iron. He hates his vitamin, but it's working. As far as my personal health, or my self-development project, I am satisfied with my progress. I gave myself accountability. My husband held me accountable. My sister, she's my best friend. She held me accountable. And I've actually, as I've posted on my screen, it says I've lost 28 pounds. I've actually lost over 30 at this point. But I needed that social support, which goes back to Erickson. And I set realistic goals. And I just really feel like that I've done it the right way this time. I can't tell you how many diets I've started, and I'm like, this is terrible. I'm not going to do this anymore. But I feel good about my nephew. I feel good about myself. And I hope that you've enjoyed my journey. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. And I'm going to stop the recording.